First of all, I would like to say good afternoon, teacher. My name is Chindara. I will show my presentation about the final assignment. Let's go ahead about the content. Here is the content. Chapter 1, Introduction, the nature of communication. Chapter 2, the phonological component, phonetics. Chapter 3, the phonological component, phonology. And chapter 4, the morphological component. And chapter 5, syntax. Chapter 6, semantics or grammatics. And chapter 7, social linguistic or linguistic anthropology, and chapter 8, language acquisition, and chapter 9, sign language. Now let's go on to chapter 1, introduction, the nature of communication. What is linguistic? Linguistic is a scientific study of any aspect of language. Since language is a human universal or academic field that studies humans have an interest in language. Here is the nature of communication. Communication is a process. Communication occurs between two or more people. Communication can be expressed through word, action, or both at the same time. Here for miscommunication based on the cultural differences. People from the same culture might misinterpret the meaning of one another message partially because of individual differences based on personality, trait, and differences in socialization. For instance, one people might, with a positive intention, ask another person questions that are thought to be overly personal and invasion. However, it is even more likely that people from different cultures will misinterpret. And here is the problem of cultural differences. Culture is often improperly assumed to be care of miscommunication. It is easy to overgeneralize cultural practice. Two more measures of cultural differences affect communication. Body position and movements, differences in view and practice concerning various factors of human relationship. And here is a culture shock. What is culture shocks? It's a disorientation and anxiety that occur when social expectations are not met. Okay, here is the common symptom of the culture shocks. Anxiety, depression, loneliness, being homesick, disturbed sleep pattern, remoteness or isolation, decreased productivity, poor time management, tragic personality, and changing. For example, sometimes I also feel like a shock when like I far from my family. I feel miss home, and sometimes I feel anxiety and stressful when I cannot control my work if the work is in a rush, or like I cannot control my time management. And here I will talk about the non-human and human communication compared. Human communication, form of human communication for verbal, the form of communication that rely upon the spoken and written word. Like for example, when I speak, that hear the sound and I can write in the sentence or words also. And for non-verbal, the form of communication that does not rely upon the spoken and written word, like show the sign or symbol or action, like non-verbal. We can use with like we just show our gesture or our action or sign without talking, or we can use with the deep people. And now let's go to non-human communication. Others see much more continuity between human and non-human primates, and points to research that show much more cognitive capacity in non-human primate than previously thought possible. They point out that the discontinuity series are constantly raising the standard for capacities are short necessary for language. For example, in the past, only human communication was short be symbolic, but recent research suggests that some monkey and ape call in the wild are also symbolic also. And now let's go to chapter 2. I will talk about the phonological component, and we can call phonetics. What is phonetics? Phonetics is the study of the speech sound. Their physical properties, the way they are received and decoded by the brain, and the way they are produced. Here is a articulatory phonetics. For the type of the phonetics that we will discuss is called articulatory phonetic, which is study of the production of speech sound. Unlike auditory phonetic, articulatory phonetics deal with the sender rather than the receiver of the message. And in the articulatory phonetic, it has a apparatus of speak, breathing and speak, and voice and voiceless sound. And here, let's go on to consonant and vowels. For consonant is a speak sound that is produced when the airstream is constricted or stopped and then released at some place along its pace before it escape from the body. Vowel is a speak sound produced without constriction to stop page. Vowel are the produced when the airstream is sharp rather than the obstructed. Differences in vowel sound depend on the resonant chamber used to produce the particular vowel rather than the oral cavity or oral and nasal activities. The vowel sound is also affected by the shape of oral chamber as modified by tongue height and tongue advancement and lip rounding and spending. And here, chapter 3, the phonological components, we can call phonology. The phoneme and the concept of significant differences in sound. Here, phoneme is a received unit of language that signal differences in meaning when constructed to another phonemes. Here, like but, that, ga, and we show our tongue like that, and ga. So here let's go to the next is allophone. It's a variation of the phoneme differences. Allophone of phoneme occur in differences or predictable phonetic environment. Like here, the phoneme vs with allophone. Here is the phonemes, and here is the allophone. Like phoneme is ta, and in the phone allophone we divide into ta and sh, and here pa we divide into also in allophone pa and fer, and here ba. Let's go ahead to another, and here we talk about the phonetic phonemics and minimal pair and set free variation. Now mean phoneme broad narrow transcription. Now I take one is a free variation to talk about when two sounds appear in the same environment but don't make it different in the meaning. Like live and live, like it's the same meaning but like the same environment but different meaning. And so like we can call it like live and soft. And here perceived as the same sound, another kind of allophony that we can call free variation. And now let's go to the significant differences construct in the language can be determined in a number of the way. This one that we have discussed is the use of minimal pair and set. Minimal pair and set are utterances in which they are the same number of the sound segments. There is only one phonetic differences, and the difference occur at the same place in the form. And here I will talk about the chapter 4, the morphological component. Morphology is study about the rule governing internal structure of words and the interrelationship that exists among words. The basic unit of morphology is the four morphemes, of which there are two main types, bound and free. And here is the that we can call morphology, like we can function, give the function to the words, like lady shoe, it is the function is noun, red adjective, and buying is the verb, that we call it for morphology. Language can be classified on the basis of how they use morphemes. In analytic languages, words are single morphemes. In synthetic language, bound morphemes are attached to roots morphemes to change meaning to mark a grammatical function. Differences languages create word in different way. Although it is relatively rare, some language will alter meaning by inserting one morpheme into another. And here type of bound morpheme have two derivational morpheme and inflectional morpheme. Now let's go to chapter 5 about talk about syntax. What is syntax? Syntax is a level of grammar that specifically refers to the arrangement of the words and phoneme in the construction of the sentence. Here is a syntactic of construction, type of syntactic structure and phrases. Here is the syntax, that is a rule of sentence formation, the study of structure of sentence. Here is the language structure, history, phonology, grammar, and semantics. And grammar we divide into morphology and syntax. And here the meaning of the syntactic construction is a grammatical construction having only free form and immediate constitute and having no formal characteristic identify it as a compound, such as he went to school. Compare morphological construction. And here a phrase structure rule. For phrase structure rule, specify the well-formed structure for the language specially and concisely. They express the regularities of the language and make a complete set of the speaker language of order of word and grouping of the word into syntactic categories. Here, color, green, idea, sleep furiously. Like colorless is an adjective, green is an adjective, and idea is a noun, sleep verb, furiously adverb. We can connect with the green and idea adjective with the noun. We can call it non-fresh, and adjective with the non-fresh we can call non-fresh again, and verb combined with adverb, it's called it's become verb fresh. Non-fresh with verb fresh, it become a sentence. And here a transformation rule has a basic fresh marker, derived or space marker. The ball will be hit by the man. Here, the is a determiner and ball is a noun. It can become a noun fresh, and will be is an auxiliary verb. Hit is a verb. We combine auxiliary verb and verb become verb. and the is the determiner, man is a noun, we combine all, it's become a non-fresh. Non-fresh with the is a connect with preposition, it's become a non-fresh. Non-fresh with verb, non-fresh with verb, it become a verb fresh. Non-fresh with the verb fresh, it become a sentence. Now let's move on to chapter 6, Semantics and Pragmatics. Semantic is study of the meaning. Lexical semantics deal with the meaning of the word. There is a lexicon or dictionary in the each person brain that contain the definition of all the word person know. Like a semantic is mean that it's like a dictionary that the people learn from the environment from outside and stock in the brain. And here the semantic thing and relationship person and organize and it work all together and it can become with a production and location. Okay, here is the name. The name I it have four here that I will show you. Here for name is a semantic is a study of the meaning. Lexical semantics deal with the meaning of the word. There is the lexicon or dictionary in which person brand that contain the definition of all the word a person know. Like here as dialects, Emirate or Rubai is a hyphonym of the word gemstone, and poker, roulette, and grab the phonetic of the game. Synonym are the word that is similar meaning and share the same semantic properties. Example, bad is the same meaning of full, terrible, horrible, good, fine, excellent, and great, hot, burning, fiery, and boiling. And bowling. Cold is chilly, freezing, and frosty. Homonym are the words that are different meaning but sound the same. It might be spelled the same or differently, like address to speak to or location, air like oxygen or lifting tune. Antonym are the words that are opposite in one of their semantic properties, like example, absent, the opposite is present, abandoned, the opposite is like accept, the opposite is refuse. What is the pragmatic? Pragmatic is study of the effect of the contract one meaning. In fact, as the name of suggests, it is about the practical use of language. Here is the I compare three syntax, semantic, and pragmatic. Syntax, the traffic light is green, yellow, red, and in the meaning of the semantic, green means that we can go, red we stop, and yellow we pay attention to prepare to stop. Like a pragmatic, if red we cannot go, and the green allow us to go. Okay, now let's go on to chapter 7, social linguistic or linguistic anthropology. Social linguistic study the relationship between language and society. They are interesting in explain when we speak differently in differently social contexts, and they are concerned with identifying the social function language and the way it is used to convey social meaning. And what is linguistic anthropology? Linguistic anthropology is a branch of the anthropology that focuses on, among other things, that how language influences thought and experiences. Linguistic anthropologists use the phone methodologies of linguistic to study the interrelationship between language and culture. Dialect is an individual personality, individual way of speaking. And here is about the chapter 8, language acquisition. What is a language acquisition? Language acquisition is the process by which humans require to the capacity to receive and comprehend language. In other words, gain the ability to have aware of language or to understand it, as well as to produce use word and sentence to communicate. Human language capacity is presented in the brain. And the idea about the language acquisition. The social culture theory, also known as the interactionist approach, take idea from both biology or sociology, interpret our language acquisition. The language acquisition theory states that children are born to learn language out of a desire to communicate with their surrounding environment and world. And here the chapter 9, the last chapter, sign language. What is ASL? ASL, the full word is American Sign Language. It's a complete natural language that has the same linguistic properties as spoken language, with the grammar that differ from English. ASL is expressed by movement of the hand and face. It is primary language of many North Americans when are deaf or hard of hearing, and is used by many hearing people as well. And the question, how do most children learn ASL? Parents are often the source of the child early acquisition of the language, but for children who are deaf, additional people may be model for language acquisition. A deaf child born to the parent who are deaf or who already use ASL will begin to require ASL as naturally as an hearing child pick up spoken language from hearing the parent. However, for a deaf child with hearing parent who have no prior experience with ASL, language may be acquired differently. Children who are deaf and have hearing parents often learn sign language through the peer or become fluent. And here is the conclusion. And here I show the video clip, but because I have a short time, I just make a conclusion for the unit for the course talk about the introduce of the linguistic. I learned so much from this lesson. I can note about uh, the the process of the linguistic and the way that we talk every day about the English or other language. Also, we use the mouth and big sound and voiceless sound, or like I can know some process of the linguistic like human and non-human, and we can know about clearly in English also, and pronunciation in English, and the communication between human and non-human also. And for now, my presentation is finished. Thank you so much, teacher, for your pay attention on this video.